I opened the email, read the first few lines, and felt that familiar clamp tighten at the base of my neck. My shoulders knew what kind of message it was before the rest of me caught up. The listener said I sounded too positive to be believable. Apparently, someone living with this much illness couldn't sound warm, steady, or hopeful unless they were hiding the worst parts. Or, in my case, exaggerating my medical history and polishing myself into some inspirational character for the microphone. Bold assessment. Very confident. Completely wrong.
It's the body rebels where the truth gets told about medical mysteries and growing old. With a little dark humor and a whole lot of grit. When his body throws a tantrum, he rolls with it.
Today I'm talking about why sounding hopeful while living with serious chronic illness doesn't mean I'm pretending the pain isn't real. The criticism itself wasn't the problem. I've been online long enough to know that opinions arrive in every possible condition, including several that appear to have been dropped down a staircase before delivery. What got under my skin was the assumption beneath the message. Real sickness, according to that assumption, should sound wrecked at all times. If I'm truly ill, every sentence should arrive flat and gray. Every laugh should require an explanation. Any warmth in my voice should be viewed with suspicion. Gratitude becomes evidence that I'm confused about my own suffering, and humor becomes proof that the suffering can't be serious. That view leaves very little room for an actual human being. I've never claimed to be happy all the time. Nobody is. A person who says otherwise should probably be checked for loose wiring. I get scared. I get angry. I get overwhelmed. I've cried in bathrooms. I've stared at messages for several minutes because I knew one careless reply could release a version of me who hadn't been cleared for public interaction. Chronic illness doesn't remove the normal range of human emotion. It piles symptoms, paperwork, uncertainty, and medical expense on top of it. I know fatigue that doesn't feel like sleepiness. It feels as though my body started the day with half a battery and misplaced the charger. I can wake up tired, carry that tiredness into the shower, and still have it beside me while I'm standing at a counter, wondering why I opened a cabinet. Someone will occasionally suggest that I need a good night's sleep. That's when I picture handing over my medical chart, a highlighter, and protective goggles. I know pain that arrives so quickly the room seems to shrink. A television may still be talking, and someone nearby may be finishing a sentence. But inside my body, everything narrows to a few questions. What is this? Have I felt it before? Is it dangerous? Can I wait, or do I need help? Breathlessness has its own kind of fear. Not being winded. Not breathing heavily after taking the stairs. I mean, the kind of breathlessness that sends fear through me before I've had time to form a full thought. Breathing is supposed to happen without negotiation. When it suddenly doesn't, my mind notices immediately. I've walked up a mild incline while everyone around me continued talking, carrying bags, and moving as though gravity had signed a reasonable contract. Meanwhile, I was trying to reach the top without turning the whole outing into an event. Then there's this sudden inward focus when my heart does something unusual. The surrounding room doesn't actually become quiet, but my attention does. My whole body listens. I live with an AICD in my chest, an electronic hall monitor supervising the situation whether I ask for supervision or not. In crowded places, I notice elbows and quick movements because a casual bump near the device doesn't feel casual from inside my body. I'm not frozen in fear. The awareness simply travels with me. Then there are the losses that don't announce themselves. A walk gets shorter. An invitation costs too much energy. An errand needs a recovery period. A routine outing becomes a calculation involving stairs, parking, oxygen, crowds, germs, and whether I'll have enough left to get home. A thing I used to do becomes something I do less, then something I remember doing without planning around my body. Nothing dramatic happens in the moment. The borders of life just move inward by a few inches. Medical care brings its own strange workload. Blood draws, scans, labs, referrals, scheduling, rescheduling. Waiting rooms furnished with chairs apparently designed by someone holding a personal grudge against the spine. Then there are paper gowns, which remain proof that fabric can be both flimsy and hostile. People say, "It's only one quick appointment." as if appointments don't reproduce when left unsupervised. I've had a lung collapse and ended up in the emergency room. Then it happened again, because the first one apparently lacked a sequel. I've woken from surgery in pain so intense that ordinary language stopped helping. I was later told that I stopped breathing during surgery and nearly didn't make it. That sentence didn't file itself away with the discharge instructions. It changed the air around the memory. There's also the unique dread of going in for one concern and hearing that someone found another. A doctor can deliver the words calmly, while my stomach drops before the explanation is finished. I know the relief of hearing benign, followed by the details about growth, possible surgery, and what a future procedure could affect. Relief and fear can sit side by side without canceling each other. So yes, I laughed when I read that I sounded too positive to be believable. Laughter gave me a moment to avoid typing the first 6 replies that entered my mind. Personal growth deserves credit, even when it only prevents an email from becoming evidence. What are sick people expected to sound like? Am I required to perform despair on cue? Must I display every wound before someone believes the rest of the story? Do I need to sound miserable each time I speak so nobody mistakes hope for comfort? That isn't how I work. I've lived with sarcoidosis for 20 years. I live with cardiopulmonary sarcoidosis, heart failure, severe lung scarring, breathlessness, an implanted AICD, and the constant arithmetic of a body that can revise the day without consulting me. I know careful tones in examination rooms. I know the pause before a doctor explains risk. I know what it's like to hear that I wasn't expected to still be here quite like this. Still working, still loving my wife, still building a life that isn't only medical management with nicer lamps. None of that makes me naive. Dark thoughts have found me. Fear has found me. Bitterness has knocked loudly enough to rattle the frame. Some days my body feels heavy and uncooperative. A symptom changes, and my mind races ahead. I sit quietly because explaining it would take more energy than I have. I get tired of adapting, medication routines, insurance delays, backup plans, and calculating whether one ordinary activity will charge me 2 days of recovery. My patience can become thin enough to disappear near an open window. That part is real. Love is real too. So is relief, when breathing comes a little easier. So is a quiet afternoon with my wife, when neither of us has to rush, and no medical call interrupts the room. So is laughing at something ridiculous at the exact moment I thought I had no laugh left. So is recognizing myself in the parts illness reached toward but didn't get to keep. Noticing those moments doesn't make the pain less serious. It keeps my identity from being reduced to the pain. Gratitude isn't denial for me. It's where I choose to direct some of my attention. I already know where the damage is. I schedule around it. I medicate it. I breathe around it. I've got scars, devices, test results, and history. I also have a wife I love, calm afternoons, ordinary jokes, dogs who remain deeply unconcerned with my medical complexity, and moments when I feel like a person rather than a file moving between departments. I do believe positivity has helped keep me alive, but not in a glittery motivational poster sense. Good vibes don't cure disease, and my body has never been intimidated into wellness by a slogan. My mind still participates in endurance. Hope changes how I move through a difficult day. Gratitude doesn't replace treatment, and humor doesn't erase fear. They keep me from becoming emotionally identical to the worst entries in my medical record. I can say that things are not fine without saying that everything is gone. That's where I live. Pain is present. Fear is present. Love still has a chair. Joy occasionally arrives late and acts as though nobody mentioned the starting time. When someone hears warmth and assumes performance, they're confusing tone with truth. They're mistaking gratitude for ease. They're hearing humor and deciding, I must not understand suffering. I understand it in hospital rooms, stairwells, scan results, sleepless hours, and recoveries that barely felt like recovery. Misery doesn't make me more credible, and sounding wrecked doesn't make my medical history more authentic. I'm not willing to perform despair so another person feels comfortable believing my diagnosis. I'm not displaying every private wound to prove I've earned the right to sound hopeful. My gratitude was expensive. So was my humor. So was the softness I've managed to keep. When I choose hope, I'm deciding how I want to live inside this body while I'm here. Fear doesn't get the final word in every conversation. Illness can occupy a large part of my life without becoming the only language I speak. I still want laughter. I still want love. I still want light in the room. I still want a life that feels like mine, rather than a case file that learned to walk around. My hope isn't a costume, a sales pitch, or denial with improved lighting. It's a voice I've protected, because illness has already taken enough without being handed the microphone, too. I'm Tate, and you've been listening to A Body Rebels, a chronic illness podcast. I'm glad you spent this time with me.
It's a body